Paul Stanford in the building.
Thank you, sir.
So it's an honor to have you right here live on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's
Deep
good
Green
to see you here
Festival.
at the Deep Green Festival. It really
Yes.
is.
So what is the main thing that you would like people to know, educate people to know about hemp?
That it produces more food, fuel, fiber, and medicine than any other plant on the planet. You know, they've taken the plant that could really change our whole economy, the one that makes the most fuel from biodiesel and ethanol, the most fiber for paper and building materials and canvas, rope, lace, and linen, the most protein, and the protein perfectly matches humans' nutritional needs for protein. It has all 8 of the amino acids and just the balance that is needed for human health. It's the most complete protein plant source on the planet.
So it contains more essential vitamins, basically, you're saying?
Yeah, all these amino acids that your body and your cells need. And, you go back historically, and all archaeologists agree that marijuana was one of the first crops purposely cultivated by human beings.
Yes.
It's basically the foundation of our civilization and agriculture itself. It's been grown at least 12,000 years and maybe more than 30,000 years.
Is that the Chinese, the shaman?
Yeah, and the Central European hemp cultures. Cannabis originated in the high Himalayan plateau in what's today Tibet, Afghanistan, Kashmir in India, and within 5,000 to 6,000 years, its cultivation had spread all to the what we call the cradles of civilization, where the Tigris, Euphrates River Valley in present-day Iraq, the Yellow River or Huanghe River in China, and it's basically the very first crop, and they've taken this crop and made it illegal. And the reason is, marijuana is really just a smokescreen. It's not really the main issue. Yeah. It's really the oil and the protein, especially the energy. Energy is the world's largest industry. And so when we legalize marijuana and restore hemp without these artificial THC level limits, because what they've done by limiting the THC in industrial hemp is they bred out the flowers. By breeding out the flowers, they limit the THC. But they've also bred out the seeds. And it's the seed, oil, and protein that are the most valuable part of the plant. The fiber's good too. The medicine's great. But the most valuable part is the seed oil and the seed protein. And so when we legalize hemp, we'll see the seed oil and protein restored to their natural place in our economy.
It'll come back because we're going to need it for all the other products that we can make from it.
Exactly. And it's just going to create a lot of jobs. Right now with the energy industry, they pump this oil out of the ground. It's toxic. They synthetically process it through toxic processes that poison our environment. But it's really subverted the natural cycle with this synthetic cycle. And you see, right when they started doing it, cancer shot up and all these other diseases shot up and pollution increased dramatically. And so when we restore hemp to its rightful place, instead of these despotic governments in Saudi Arabia and Nigeria and all these huge companies that get our energy money, and almost everything has some component of energy in it, then that money will go to our farmers. And when it goes to our farmers, it'll reinvigorate our local economy and decentralize wealth. I really believe that marijuana is the bellwether issue for the future of freedom. That marijuana is crucial for establishing the freedom to think, your right to consciousness. And right now, with the huge growth we're going to see over the next 20 to 40 years in genetic technology, in nanotechnology, and in artificial intelligence, if we don't establish natural individual sovereignty, they make corporations now have more rights than people. Well, that really bodes ill for the future of freedom, because pretty soon artificial intelligence will have more data and more power. And if we don't establish more and expand natural individual rights, then the future of humanity could be very grim. And so I think it's really important. I think marijuana is the bellwether issue that the future of freedom for humanity really hinges upon.
See, that's something that we've been fighting for forever. It's part of our civil liberties. It sounds like part of our civil rights to smoke, to be able to medicate, to be able to utilize this plant for other than just medicating. I mean, just hemp. I mean, our shirts are made out of hemp. There's many other things.
They're
like
for sale too today only.
Well, if you go back and you look at how marijuana, the whole term marijuana came
Propaganda.
from a Pancho Villa Mexican War, Independence War revolutionary song, La Cucaracha, and it says that the cockroach smokes marijuana and then falls down. Well, they used marijuana and they knew about the benefit of industrial. They nationalized the oil industry in Mexico.
Wait, so you're saying the song La Cucaracha?
I know that song.
The same one Bugs Bunny sings, right?
Ya no puede caminar porque le falta una pata para caminar. He should mix. I heard it was a leg that the roach was missing, but I never saw a roach that was missing one leg that couldn't walk. I was wondering.
No,
like,
they say he smokes marijuana in the original version.
Oh my God.
And when the
makes so
Mexican
much
Revolution happened, they nationalized the oil industry. And that's why all these oil industry people made up this whole reefer madness myth, because they didn't like the socialist values that the communal use of cannabis helps with. And so they created this misinformation campaign that we call reefer madness, based on that movie from 1937 that says people go crazy and kill their family and friends. Well, the guy who implemented that idea, the first head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, was Harry Anslinger. Harry Anslinger's wife was the niece of Andrew Mellon. Andrew Mellon was the Secretary of Treasury and the head of Standard Oil. And he was one of the primary people, along with his nephew, Harry Anslinger, that everybody agrees is the father of marijuana prohibition.
He's the one that everyone is looks at as the reason why it's illegal.
And he is the nephew of
it's all political.
This guy, Andrew Mellon.
What? So there's a backstory.
They're connected.
It's all about money and power and the continued centralization of economic and political control.
Where can people hear more about this from you, Paul?
Hemp.org. We've got our website that's a portal to all our websites, hemp.org.
Hemp.org. Look at that.
I'm so happy that you actually finally got to come to our show. I mean, we saw you in Portland. We were up there for Hemp Fest. That was wonderful.
We saw your TV show as well.
Yeah,
well, you're welcome to come on the show, too. If you're there on a Friday night, you just have to be in Portland on a Friday night.
Well, next time we're in Portland.
Unfortunately, we got a ticket in Oregon. On our way back to California, we got a state trooper that...
we help people, including Willie Nelson, get multiple state medical marijuana permits.
What?
Now I am actually Willie Nelson's grower.
Whoa!
I have a permit with the state of Oregon that says I grow for Willie Nelson, his wife, his sister.
Wait, so can you fly on a plane from?
I can fly with up to 1.5 pounds for my own.
From state to
from
state?
Portland. From Portland, out of Portland.
To any state? Or
you can only go to states that are legal.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't break the law in those states. So Oregon and Washington have 1.5 pound limit per patient. So in another state,
California
California, it depends on the county you're in.
You can have like 0.5 pound.
Like Arizona and Michigan is 2.5 ounces. Out in Hawaii, it's 3 ounces. It changes state to state.
Look at you, Paul. It's out of control.
This is awesome, dude.
We have clinics in about 60 cities where we've helped 150,000 people get their medical marijuana permits.
Dude, we need to get more young people involved in this. Like the 18 to 20
we were at
something.
Hippie Hill yesterday, so we saw a bunch of punk-ass kids over there just trying to get high, and I'm like, all these kids need guidance. They need to just organize, because if 10,000 kids can meet together at a park to get high, then they could get together to start a revolution.
I'll tell you what, the one thing that we need right now is help. We are hiring petitioners throughout.
What?
You have to be in the state of Oregon, though, and it has to be registered Oregon voters' signatures.
How can someone do that in Oregon? Because if I lived in Oregon, I'd be like, what? I just got to pay.
You don't have to be from Oregon. Anybody can circulate petitions as long as they can legally work.
Right.
And so you get paid by the hour, and it's at least $15 an hour. If you do really well, it's $25 an hour. But it's just a temporary gig until July 6th. We've got a right now, our initiative to completely legalize hemp and cannabis, it has 70,000 signatures. In Oregon, we need 87,213 valid registered Oregon voter signatures by July 6th to qualify.
That's really close.
Yeah, we're getting close. We got Willie Nelson endorsed our initiative and did a commercial for us, and that led to a lot of publicity for us.
Well, hopefully
he made a donation too of $10,000.
Well, oh, that's amazing! I'd love to see what Willie Nelson is consuming as far as cannabis goes.
Yeah.
Well, I have
Are you
some of
familiar
that
with
me.
oil or butter, concentrates?
I vaporize mainly. I've been using my Volcano for a decade.
I love that
and
thing.
So I mainly vaporize. I like those. I just tried. Your
Foda.
compadres here.
That
was good.
That's the person.
Very tasty.
It's essential oil vaporizer, basically.
Yeah. I've seen them that are just like pure THC with no flavor. That one had all the terpenes and all the flavor in it, which I like.
You feel it yourself, so you know what you're consuming.
I see.
That's what's so different about this. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's an honor again to have you, Paul, on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I wish we had more time with you, but I know there's a lot of stuff going on here at Deep Green Festival. So if anyone wants any more information, this man, Paul Stanford, is just an encyclopedia of hemp and cannabis.
Dude, it's been a pleasure, an honor.
Hemp.org. Hemp.org.
I could tell you a couple things that would blow your mind. One is, have you ever heard of Jack Harris' book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes?
Yes.
That was written in my house back in 1985.
I have that.
I'm the P in the dedication, the original dedication. And Chris Conrad's book, Hemp Lifeline in the Future.
Yes.
I see it right there.
I was talking
I'm
to
in
Chris.
the dedication of that. I worked in all the quotes in the back from Jefferson and Washington. I found those in library searches, and so I helped.
Do you have
them
any books out?
No, I'm working on a couple books, but I don't have any out right now.
You have to.
Yeah, you need to spread that knowledge, Paul.
I think this is the future Jack Hare right here, Paul Stanford. I think the torch should be passed.
A massive
to Paul
encyclopedia.
Well, Jack actually
knowledge.
gave his last speech at our Portland Hempstock Festival, and then he had a major heart attack that ultimately killed him about 6 months later.
We always preach about, who is the next Jack Hare, because everyone's fighting for this, and there's no one person that should.
It's a movement, and that's the thing. It's not about me.
But there needs to be
It's
a guidance.
about the plant that produces more food, fuel, fiber, and medicine than any other plant on this planet.
Someone needs to guide these people.
That's what it's about.
You know
it's
how
not
people
about me.
Yes,
It's
Paul, you are the one that can make it happen.
Legalizing it for
you
our
are the
future.
new torchbearer. The podcast
very
behind
inspiring.
Paul Stanford.
Very inspiring.
Appreciate your support. Well, nice to meet you, man.
Paul
you,
Stanford,
Paul.
Hemp.org. I appreciate it, y'all.
Thank you for the invitation.
We're
We
gonna
would
check what
definitely
else is
visit you in Portland.
Yes. Paul Stanford, everybody. Amazing stuff.